Greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. My name is Pastor Moses Edwards Jr., and I am the pastor of the First Baptist Church of Chillicothe, Ohio. But today I am here representing the Baptist Pastors Conference of Columbus and vicinity in a new segment we call Legacy in the Spotlight, a Pastor's Journey. In this segment, we will be interviewing retired pastors and those who have been in the vineyard for a little while, and we just want to get their story. And today, I have the privilege of being here at the world-famous Mount Hermon Missionary Baptist Church with the new pastor emeritus, none other than Bishop Donald Washington. Bishop Washington, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing quite well. I can't complain.
I'm so glad to hear that, sir.
I'm glad I'm on top of the ground and not under the ground, but go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Bishop. First and foremost, I want to congratulate you on your recent retirement. How does it feel to not have to worry about the fact that Sunday soon cometh?
Well, you know, Sunday will always come with me or without me.
Yeah.
But I'm very thankful that the Lord has blessed me down through these years. And Sunday, I've never missed a Sunday worship, even when I was in the war.
Yes, sir.
I made sure on Sunday, Friday actually, I start praying, and on Saturday I start getting myself ready. And on Sunday, we had an opportunity to pray in the field.
Yes, sir. Okay. So looking back on, is it 43 years of ministry?
43 years.
43 years.
50 years of preaching, but
Wow.
43 years of pastoring.
My Lord, 43 years of pastoring and 50 years of ministry. What do you consider one of your greatest achievements?
One of my greatest achievements is really watching church growth. We come from a little petulant church that had people that was in the church, but the church wasn't primarily always in them. And so when I had the opportunity to go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I joined a church called Central Baptist Church. Dr. Isaac Green was the pastor. And the miracle of that whole situation is that when I flew there, there was a sky cap. I said, this is Sunday. I need to find somewhere to have communion. So he takes me to the upper hills down in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and to Central Baptist Church. We were with there that evening, and I never saw that guy again. I thought he was an angel because from that point, ministry began to grow because we had Bible studies, what they call prayer meeting. But when I was in Pittsburgh, they had 70 brothers that met every Tuesday night.
Wow.
And just being with those brothers, loving the Lord, teaching the word, I never had that at Mount Hermon, Columbus on Windsor.
Right.
Because we thought prayer meeting was just for the old folk to come and pray.
Wow.
But we never had any systematic theology or somebody teaching the word. It was always a little prayer and testimony. And when I got to Pittsburgh, I said, this is new for me. I've never seen it on this wise.
Yeah.
And my gifting was stirred up in me because, you know, I was a musician first.
Yeah.
Church, me and Stan Wood, we was both the musicians back then.
Yes, sir. Talk to me about that, the early days of Mount Hermon and your transition from the minister of music to the pastorate.
That was a challenge because most of the people don't know that I wasn't a candidate at all. I don't know if I told you that.
No.
No, I wasn't a candidate. I worked for Baxter Laboratories, which was called American Hospital Supply. I was a transportation manager. And so they had two candidates. One was Jerry Fryer.
Oh, wow.
Another fellow from Mount Olivet, I can't remember his name. But the night that they was voting, I already chose the person that I thought would be the pastor. And being a manager at American Hospital Supply, I was out of town, and so I just sent the ballot in. I told my wife who to vote for.
Oh, so you actually voted?
Yes, for Brother Montgomery.
Okay.
Actually. And she called me up. I said, well, who made it? She said, you. I said, what? To do what? She said, no, Mrs. Wade said, no, Donald, he came back from Pittsburgh. You know, he's already licensed or ordained. We don't know those guys because I was doing the broadcast after Reverend Dowdy died in morning worships and so forth.
Right.
So all of a sudden I said no. So I come home, and so I told Deacon Johnson, I'm not going to do this. I wrote a long letter to Dr. Green, and Dr. Green says, come, you go to the airport and I want to see you on Monday morning. So I did go over, went up those spiral stairs. He said, sit down. He said, Deacon Johnson told me that you're not going to accept the calling. I said, I'm not ready for that. I just want, we took those little classes in Pittsburgh because the brothers did. Pittsburgh Theological Cemetery.
Yes. This was at cemetery, not
Yeah,
seminary.
because a lot of
Cemetery.
so I went to the seminary there, and so he saw so much in me so quickly. He licensed and ordained me. He said, I know you're good and ready to go back to Columbus because I was going through the Brotherhood and I accept my call, and that's a long story. But that's what happened. I come back to Columbus, and so one of the ladies said, he's been doing the day session of the sermons on Sunday and the broadcast. We don't want somebody we don't know, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's something. So you're the pastor. You didn't expect to be the pastor, but you became the pastor.
Yes.
How long did it take, in your opinion, the members to really start seeing you?
Right.
As the pastor.
Well, it was a lot. We started with, it was like 145, if my memory served me right, that voted that night. But it's only like 19 in the church the next Sunday. I said, what's going on? So a couple of weeks went by, and it just kept going. And I said, I don't know. So I called Dr. Green again, and he said, that's not your flock. I said, sir? He said, that's Reverend Dowdy's flock. You got to leave the pulpit and hit the pavement.
Wow.
And so what we did, we started walking around in the community and talking to people on Chittenden, on 18th Street, people that used to be in church. And I knocked on the door, and I said, I'm the pastor of Mount Hermon now. Oh, what? So that was Good Friday. We had like a program that evening, but the next day we started walking through the neighborhood. Nathaniel Carter, myself, and Ira Allen, and they said, you the pastor? I said, yes, ma'am. So that Sunday was Palm Sunday.
Yeah.
And 96 people joined the church that day. Shocked me to death.
Yes, sir.
Scared to death. And from that point, we started growing and doing things for the community because I knew just about everybody because I was born in the house next door to the original church.
Yes, sir.
And so I knew everybody. And one of the biggest challenges was that the deacons knew me. Most of them knew me as a little boy, and they just had a problem following me. He used to be in my class. What I need to be sitting under him. They wouldn't go to Sunday school. They wouldn't go to Bible study, which I called it, what's Bible study? We always had prayer meeting.
Yeah.
And so I started out with Bible study, and it started to grow and grow. But some of those brothers didn't show up because they just couldn't. They kept saying stuff like this. First, giving honor to God. Reverend, what are we supposed to call you? Donald. They never let me grow up.
Wow. What advice would you give to a younger pastor who grew up in the church that they're pastoring and they might not necessarily be seeing the numbers like they want to see? What advice would you give to a young pastor like that?
Evangelism.
Yes, sir.
You got to know the community that you're in and don't be afraid to go there. And posters, you got all kinds of things that you can deal with today. We used to use door knockers, those little tags. We'd go through and do that kind of thing. But one of the things that really helped us grow is loving the people and be genuine.
Yes, sir.
Be you. We're not competitors.
Right.
Because when they say, oh, they're doing this, no, you do you. God sent you to the church.
Yes,
and you value your time and know the people, the goats as well as the sheep.
Yes, sir.
And don't let anybody tell you that you are not called. No, you are. God put you here for a reason. And don't be discouraged if you don't have the crowd, because Jesus had a crowd, and they said when Jesus needed the most, they said, "Give us Barabbas."
Yeah.
So we got to be. Don't count the people, because your voice will go further than what you think. See, I hear about you all the time. I said, this little fella is doing it down in Chillicothe, Ohio, because you are a companion and not a competitor.
Absolutely.
So don't let anybody say, I wish I could do it like, no, you got your own skill set.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Be
sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
Because you're nice and handsome, halfway handsome.
Thank you.
And you love the people. I could tell that
Yes,
you love
sir.
preaching.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Be you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Let's talk about a little bit, and this segment will be for pastors and preachers coming up. Let's talk about your sermon preparation. We
Time.
talked on the phone, and you told me a little bit about how you do your sermon preparation during the week. So talk to me about that. How does sermon preparation go for you during the week?
I'm always thinking right after I preach on Sunday, what am I going to preach the next Sunday?
Okay.
And I always evaluate myself as to what did I preach. Oh, you should have put that there. Have you ever had that experience?
Yes, absolutely.
Because all through the week you are meditating. I kind of shared with you how I'm time management
Yes,
for
sir.
me.
Yes.
I think you mind if I repeat that?
Yeah, please, please.
Because Monday is relaxation. You're married, you have children. And I spent all that time with my wife and my kids when they was growing up.
Yes, sir.
And Tuesday is administration. That's when I bring my staff together and talk to them about what we want to have done this week and what things they didn't do last week, what I want them to do this week. Tuesday is delegation. I make sure I delegate to make sure all the things that I asked you to do is done. On Wednesday, it's kind of a time where I do, I kind of tweak my sermon, and I try to look at what I'm going to preach about, and that's privatization. I get private, go by myself, get ready for Bible study. Then on Thursday is consultation.
Yes, sir.
That's when I counsel anybody that have any challenges. Do that on Thursday. And usually on Thursday, I know what I'm going to preach about because I talked about it in my head on Wednesday. And Friday is a culmination. I bring everything that I didn't complete throughout the course of the week.
Yeah.
And Saturday is meditation, and Sunday is proclamation.
Oh, my goodness.
You got to manage your time because everybody want a piece of you.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you surely wear away if you don't take care of yourself and have that one day that you do nothing.
You'll look around and it's almost time to preach, and you have had an opportunity to prep because you've been helping everybody all week long.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've been helping everybody all week long. So you prepare all week long. Sunday morning comes. Have you ever noticed, or have you ever had some obstacles come on Sunday wherein you talk about obstacles on Sunday morning?
Yes. The devil always want to get you off your message. Have you ever come to church and people are throning you about a problem they could have reached you all week long?
Absolutely.
And they throw it at you. You need to have somebody like Ron Mapp around you. Because when I come to church, I'm focused on what I'm going to preach about, and he really guards my time on Sunday morning. What I do, I come in and meet everybody and kind of wave at them, and they know that I'm just going to do that for a moment. I go into my office and don't let anybody come back in so I can meditate.
Yeah.
And get ready to preach because they come in and say, my first cousin died last week, and can you pray for me? We're going to have prayers inside the church.
Yes.
They go past the deacons, past the missionaries. They want to get to me. But
Yes.
you got to really save yourself on Sunday.
Absolutely. How important is it for a pastor or a minister to have a devotional life?
Oh, my goodness. That's Wednesday for me. Do you have any preacher pals that you can trust?
Oh, about 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
That's the ingredient right there. You talk about it. Devotion. Devotion don't mean just a private devotion, because you're going to do that. But you need some pastor friends that love you, love your ministry, going to build you up.
Yeah.
You need that kind of time to devote yourself with them. And people get arrogant. They say, oh, that's the clique. No, everybody's not your friend.
Yeah, you're right about it.
And you just got to be very selective. It's not that you're being bougie, but like Miss Swain. Miss Swain is a preacher's boy. He loved to be around preachers. Did you know he used to walk through my closet at 5 years old?
Anthony McSwain.
And he said, I said, what you want to be when you get ready? I want to be a preacher. And he go and walk through my closet, look at my robes. I said, you can't wear that. Put that down. But now I can wear all of them.
They're too small for him back then.
Yeah. That's my dude. I love Ant.
So let's talk about juggling the pastorate with other responsibilities. So you have been the president of Ohio Baptist General Convention. You have been the moderator for Eastern Union Missionary
Yes.
Baptist Association, all while pastoring. How do you juggle those outside positions and pastor and still find time for your family?
Well, first of all, thank you for asking that question, because you have to, when you at that level, state president, moderator, pastors conference president, and then I was a national church planter.
Oh, wow.
Well, the National Baptist Convention. I was
Wow.
planting churches. I had a $350,000 budget, and we planted 48 churches, 4 in Africa, in Zimbabwe, Upper Volta, Chad, and Swaziland.
Wow.
That's what I did when I was church planter. And that was always done during the winter months.
Yes, sir.
Because it's cold here, but when you go across the seas, particularly in Africa, the weather's different. But I managed my time because I never, ever missed Wednesday.
Wow.
And I never missed Sunday. I could probably count on 2 hands how many Sundays I missed.
My goodness.
Because if you're going to be a pastor, you can't be a pastor that's called out every week. Your ministry is here. And a lot of pastors become evangelists, and they miss their church all week, and they don't know their people.
Yeah.
But Ms. Swain can tell you, I know everybody in here.
Yes, sir.
I call them by name. And if we're going to be a shepherd, you got to know your sheep.
Yes, sir.
I made sure that I know everybody, and I don't treat them anybody different. So with that time management, I knew I had to be here. They knew my role as a pastor, because some pastors are pastor, evangelist, but I love just being the pastor, just being here.
Yes, sir.
And serving. All those other things, all those other positions, is outside of the church. But God called me to do that.
Yeah.
I never politic for none of that. It just happened. When I became moderator, I said, what's that?
Right.
I was at the old church, and I succeeded Frazier. And after being a moderator, I was at the state convention, and it was Cleophas Key.
Wow.
You remember him?
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
At 2012. He said, hey, Washington, you the moderator, but I'm the 3rd vice president of the state. I'm not going to run. I'm too old. He said, we're going to put your name in to be the state president. I said, what? Not me. I'm not ready. I just started moderator, and I was only 4 years. And so he resigned that day at the conference, at the state convention, and put my name in, and the rest is history.
So were you moderator
Yes.
and state president at the same time?
Yes, but what I did, I resigned being the moderator, and G. Thomas Turner became the acting moderator until my tenure is up.
Wow. That's something.
I couldn't do both, and so I just had enough sense to pass the gavel to him.
Right.
And so when it came for him, he completed my moderatorship, and Hudson went up to be the 1st vice.
Wow.
And Chad Fowler became the 3rd.
Yes, sir.
That's how that worked.
This is a lot of good Baptist history
Yes,
here
sir.
in Columbus, Ohio, that
Yeah.
a lot of people might not know. Look, I'm going to ask you a little bit of a difficult question.
Sure.
You are a bishop,
Yes.
and you became a bishop at a time where that might not have been as trendy
Sure.
a thing to do in
Sure.
the Baptist witness. Now there's more
Bishop.
bishops in the Baptist church in specific than we've ever seen before. Talk to me about facing resistance from the Baptist community, and how did you, when you became
Navigate.
a bishop, and how did you navigate those challenges?
Because they always call me Bishop. it was just so natural. Stan Wood started, hey, Bishop.
Yeah.
Then it was kind of like they were just saying it just to be saying it. But every time I walked around, they said, hey, Dr. Booth. I come, hey, Bishop, how you doing? Clark, all of them. And I said, well, if I'm getting this title, well, why don't I become a bishop? Because there's nothing wrong with it according to the script.
Yes, sir.
If a man desires the office of a bishop, he desires a good work of bishop, then must be all of that.
Yes, sir.
And so a good friend of mine in Louisiana, we had this little group called Church Alive under Dr. Lyons.
Yes, sir.
When Dr. Lyons left the convention, he had a group called Christ alive.
Mm.
And many of the brothers that was part of Christ alive, little of them were, some of them was moving over trying to be with Paul Morton.
Yeah.
But they said, well, why don't you be a bishop? That's what we call you anyway. So I was consecrated down in Louisiana. And one of the persons that laid hands on me is a part of the Kojic Church. You know who that is?
Who?
Who you think? Who was the last presiding bishop?
Let's see.
He just resigned.
So it wasn't G.E. Patterson.
No.
It was the one that came after G.E. Patterson. What's his name? Tell me.
Out of California.
Yes, sir. Out of California. I think it was Face, but I can't remember his name. Tell it
You
to
know
me.
what? Me too.
You was testing me. Listen.
Well, he sent one of his, Dr. Armstead, Bishop Armstead came down and laid hands on me. Bradley down in Louisiana. They laid hands on me, Raph Jones, and a fellow by the name of Sean Elder.
Okay.
And we all, do you know him out of Mount Hermon
Yeah,
Baptist Church?
yeah.
We was all consecrated at the same time. But I had no difficulties with it at all.
Right.
And Paul, and I think it was out of New Jersey. Was it not New Jersey? Oh my goodness, what is his name? It's matter of fact out of Maryland.
Yeah.
What's his name? I forget his name.
I can't remember.
He just hey, I'm 78. You ought to be able to remember.
No, I can't remember.
Yeah, but anyway, I joined college, and
Joint College of Bishops you
yes,
talk about.
yes,
sir.
me, because I knew Dr. Ellis quite well.
Yes.
Because we used to come up to, when I did my addresses in Cleveland, he would
Yeah.
always be there. You know, you Pentecostal. And so I used to go before I became a bishop. And so he was so delighted when I became a bishop. He said, you come to our conferences, and the rest is history. I have no problem. People acknowledge me as that. It was kind of shaky at first because they didn't understand what it meant. And so when I taught it in church, I said, isn't it amazing in the Baptist witness when a person is being ordained, they rise them up and read that scripture and then call them Reverend Doctor.
Yeah.
And so when you look at that, that's in the Bible, but Reverend is in Psalm 111. Reverend is his name.
Yeah.
Have you read that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I don't like to, they revere us, but Reverend, Elder, Pastor, Bishop, all of that is theologically true, but
Right.
we just got to understand, because we are so used to a certain way of saying things that we don't understand the word behind that word. So that's why you have to do word study and understand what it's all about.
Yes. Now, did any of your Baptist, your colleagues, any of them treat you any different?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Dr. Charles Edward Boober, Bishop. G. Thomas Turner, Bishop. Ross,
Yeah.
all of them. I mean, I never had not one adversary toward it.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the people in the congregation, well, what is a bishop? And then when you explain it, they thought it was, one lady said, are we being Catholic? Not Catholic. So when they saw the regalia and I explained what it all meant, the whole atmosphere was different.
Yeah.
And when I come in, they just love it.
What advice would you give to other pastors that might be considering bold, unconventional moves similar to what you did with becoming a bishop?
They got to be very careful and don't try to be so high and mighty.
Yeah.
It's a calling, and there should be a humble witness to whatever you do. And unfortunately, our people are so caught up in what they see and what they feel, but not what they know.
Yeah.
But once you know what those callings are, you got to be a teacher. See, the Lord took his disciples with him for 4 reasons,
Yeah.
I think.
Yes, sir.
Of course, Tim Clark talked about that a couple of nights ago, and Jesus went through all the cities and villages, preaching and teaching in the village and healing all manner of sickness and disease. And he was moved compassion upon them because they were like sheep having no shepherd,
Right.
and they scattered.
Yeah.
So our job is to understand, number one, why he took his disciples with him. The reason why Reverend Little was one of my picks, he took them out with him. I took them out with me to the convention for experience.
Yes, sir.
I want them to see me outside of the pulpit.
Mm-hmm.
They see me on Sunday morning, but they don't do don't see me on Monday going to the convention, going to the pastors' conference, ministerial alliance in the district, in the state, and the national. So they was surprised that I wanted to expose them to that stuff and get them the experience of being in that environment. But I also want them to understand I took them for expectation.
Yeah.
I expect them to be better than me.
Yeah.
We have all those books. You saw them in my library. Y'all can do everything on the phone. And we had to knuckle down and study. And fourth thing, parenthetically, I took them for a spirit of excellence.
Absolutely.
Don't be raggedy.
Yes, sir.
Dress appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bible, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yes, sir.
Don't look like the sheep.
Yeah.
Sheep don't look like shepherds.
Yes, sir.
And it's a dirty thing. There's a book out, You Smell Like Sheep. Have you seen that book?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Every preacher ought to read it. Because I don't care who if they in the church, I don't care if they don't like me. Hey, sugar, how you doing? I don't like you today. But at times they say, I love you now.
Yeah.
Because they got this thing that we are here and they're there like they're subject. No, you're saints of God.
Yeah.
And so we ought to be the same way on Monday as we are on Sunday.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Dr. John Little, who is your successor.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about how you approach succession planning. How did you approach your succession planning when you start thinking about stepping down as pastor?
In 1998, our church was named Mount Herman, M-A-N.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to fix that downtown and put an O. And there was a lot of problems with us changing. Well, we've always had man, M-A-N, as opposed to M-O-N. I said, but have you read Psalm 133? Behold, and how beautiful it is, like the dew of Hermon. I happened to go to Israel, and Hermon is spelled H-E-R-M-O-N, with the dew of Hermon.
Yeah.
And I asked one of the guys, I said, what does Mount Hermon mean? It means the eyes of the nation.
Wow.
It's the highest point in Israel. So when I came back, I made sure we changed that. But in the process, I saw how many problems it were when people was calling a pastor. It was one of the most disgusting things that I have ever seen. And I put in our constitutional bylaws in 1998 that I would never let that happen because it's embarrassing. They're doing background checks on these young fellas and exposing them to stuff that they don't need. If they had bankruptcy or if they had a traffic ticket or went to jail for something, but they've been changed and they put that stuff out in the atmosphere. I said, I don't have that kind of system in me.
Yeah.
Because if you look through the Bible, and this is when I said it, I said, read your Bible. Everybody that the Lord called had a tainted and polluted past. Let's look at Moses.
Right.
He was a murderer and ran for his life and hit that Egyptian, but he's not known for that.
Yeah.
He's known for the liberation of the household of Israel. Look at David. David was a player. Had to have Bathsheba and put her husband out to be killed, but he's not known for that. He's known to be a man after God's own heart.
Yeah.
And look at Paul. Paul, he wrote over half of the New Testament.
Right.
But and look at Peter. He was a cusser and a cutter.
Cut you up.
But all of them guys had flaws. And I am known to be none of y'all's business.
I'm about to say, what you going to tell them, Bishop?
All of us have a past.
Yes, sir.
And that's why I'm so angry when people put these young preachers out there and tell their lives and and God chose them. Yes, they had some problems, but I'm not made up like that.
Yeah.
To try to out somebody like that. That's embarrassing. All of us had some problems. Everybody, look at Paul. Look at Peter. Didn't want to be hung the same way that the Lord was.
Yeah.
He wanted to be hung upside down. So, and all of us have a past. And so I say, I didn't want that to happen if I died early. I want to put it in our Constitution and bylaws that if we choose another pastor, put that in the pastor's hand because we know preachers.
Yeah.
You know them.
Yes, sir.
And we know who is equipped for the journey. But in addition to that, My brother-in-law with me everywhere. Him, McIntosh, and Dandridge. Everywhere. And I want them to see who I really was. Standing down in Louisiana, giving my report with 60,000. They was just shocked.
Yeah.
All of that kind of stuff. And so,
Yes, sir.
yes, that's why I love you guys, because y'all not afraid to go to convention.
No, we
You
go.
know why?
Why?
Because y'all it now.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
How old are you?
I'm 37.
Yeah. It's on y'all's watch now.
Yes, sir.
And my job is to endorse and help and push and bring you and say, hey, listen, your slip is hanging.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of being challenged. I don't say being belittled, but there's sometimes that there's safety in the presence of many.
Absolutely.
And we can come and say, listen, your slip is hanging. Let's don't do that.
Yes, sir.
Just don't go out there drinking like that. If you have to have communion at church.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to worry about it.
So you said you when you approached this your succession plan, you started way back in
Oh
1998.
yes, but I already knew, had in my mind, I had actually 3 that I was looking at,
Yes, sir.
but one was on the road too much, and the other said absolutely not. And my brother-in-law didn't know until I told him.
Oh, wow.
He had no idea.
So he was shocked when you told
He
him.
was absolutely blown away. He had an inkling, but I was looking at somebody else, but that person was on the road too much, and so I called him up, and he was shocked because he thought I was going to pick this unnamed person too.
Yeah.
And he, I've known him since he was 6.
Wow.
He was 6 years old when we got married, so he's like a son to me.
So you had them prepared.
The church?
On the church, you had the church prepared on paper, but mentally, how did you prepare the church, the congregants for the passing of the baton?
I had him come in here and sit down and talk to the deacons first.
Okay.
Then, of course, you have to understand, Pastor Little was the church administrator.
Wow.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah, he was a church administrator. Listen, his journey, we started out as a Sunday school teacher, then became Sunday school superintendent, and then when we put the addition on, I made him church administrator because I couldn't do both things.
Right.
And then when he became church administrator, he got called to, at that time, Reeb Hozak, and he's been there ever since.
Yes, sir.
Now, you need to understand he's a builder, too. When we put the addition on, I had already done it from the old Mount Hermon to over here, so I wanted to give them the experience how to do this. And that's what he did. He took the reins. He was the one to help put that addition on. I'm going to take you over there so you can see what it looks like.
Yes, sir. Real quick, I got 2 more questions, and I'm
Sure.
going to let you go. So another pastor who might be struggling with their succession plan and how to shut it down, what advice would you give to pastors who are beginning to plan for their next phase, for the next phase of leadership of their church?
Start early and make sure you put it in writing. And start with the deacons first. And you have to give them examples of the quagmire that they do around the city. How should a church be without a shepherd for 4 and 5 years? My home church in Pittsburgh, the pastor left 4 years ago, and they still waiting to put somebody in because traditionally they said they would wait for 4 years. When you don't have a shepherd, the sheep scatters. And so they whittled down to a small number because it was one of the premier churches, 1,500 a Sunday. That's why I had my ministry. They down to about 80.
Wow.
Because my best friend called me and said, I don't know why they're waiting. And that's why I use whatever panache I have and said, why are y'all doing this?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So we'll end with this. What legacy do you hope to leave behind for not only this church, but the city of Columbus?
Be a pastor to the saints. Be a proclaimer. Matter of fact, let me look at that word. It says, if a man knoweth not how to rule his own house, how can he take care of the church of God?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, that preacher has to be a person before the sovereign God. I mean, that's number one. Number two, he has to be a partner to his spouse. Then he has to be a parent to his siblings. Then he has to be a proclaimer to the saints. And parenthetically, a proclaimer to the sinners.
Absolutely.
That's your job. And people will respect you for that.
Yes.
I'm watching you, Doctor.
I appreciate that.
You know, I have every hope that you would even better than me.
Yes, sir.
Because you got a whole lot to do right now and a whole lot of challenges out here. My son in ministry, Charles, love him dearly, Jay. There's a lot of preachers out of Mount Hermon, Dandridge, I go on, and Reverend Carter, Nathaniel Carter.
Yes, sir.
And I pray for them every day that they would do what God has called them to do and be honest before your people.
Yes, sir.
And be prayerful.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Absolutely.
proud of you.
I appreciate
You look like
that.
your granddaddy, though.
Well, I appreciate that.
Ooh-wee.
You know, he always spoke very highly of
Yeah,
you.
that was my dude. That was my dude for real.
Yes, sir. Well, that concludes our interview. We thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We will reconvene here soon, and we will let you know and announce who is the next pastor we will be interviewing. But until next time, God bless you, God keep you, and may heaven smile upon you. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, son.